good month. In my opinion, I read 4 books, which I think is pretty good. And we had no DNFs, which is such a win for me in the reading realm. Let me know also what you guys read this month. So yeah, I'm so excited. I read so many out, such good books, such good books, such good books this month. I loved what I read. So let's get into it. The first book. The first book that I read this month was Love Again by Sophia Kramer. I talked about this book in my last book haul. This book is about Clara and Sven. Clara's fiance dies in an accident, and she decides several months after his death that she is going to text his phone to feel closer to him and to just share her thoughts and keep him updated on her life. And she doesn't know that his number actually had been reassigned after his death. So Sven is just getting all of these random texts from someone that he doesn't know, and he doesn't text back. He just lets her keep texting, and he's trying to put her identity together, and he ends up falling in love with her through these texts that she sends. So Clara works for a marketing firm, but she's also an artist, and Sven is a journalist, and he uses that as his way to get to know her and to meet her. And he doesn't tell her to the very end though that he had been getting her text. He actually let it slip and called her the nickname that her ex-fiance would call her. And that's how it came out. This was such a good book. It was really cute. The only little problem that I had with it is that the build up was so intense. Oh my goodness. The build up and the texting were one-sided texting, should we say, and just so much back and forth was intense. And literally them meeting finally and falling in love was several chapters. Over half of this book was the leading up to them finally meeting each other, and I kind of got to the point where I wasn't even sure if they were ever gonna meet each other, because it was just getting so deep into this book and so far, and you're wait a minute, aren't you two supposed to meet and fall in love? That was my only problem with it. And then them meeting, falling in love, blah 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 blah, was so rushed. I wish that the author would have spent a little bit more time on that aspect of it, but other than that, it was still pretty good. It was a really cute book, so I liked it. So the next book that I read, I actually read on my Kindle, my trusty handy dandy Kindle, and that book was The Lovely Bones. I don't really know what possessed me to read this book, to be honest. It was on Kindle Unlimited, and I remember when the movie came out years and years ago, and I never watched it. But since I'm in my reading era, I decided, okay, maybe if the book is good enough, then we'll watch the movie. So the book is about Susie, who is a little teenage girl. This was based in the 60s, so people's judgment was very laxed, and she's just a typical American preteen girl doing what preteen girls in the 60s did. And one night guys, like, hey little girl, like, come check out this like underground like cave that I built. And Susie knows, like, I probably shouldn't go with this man, like I should just go home. But she's like, you know, like, what's the worst that can happen? And so she goes with her neighbor, and her neighbor was always kind of weird. Like, the author made it very clear through the characters, like, everybody found him weird and just strange, but he had never really done anything besides just kind of being a weirdo. So Susie goes with him and follows him like inside this like little underground cave, and he ends up unaliving her, and that is like where the story pretty much begins. And it's told through Susie kind of as she's like navigating the afterlife and looking down on her family members, her friends, the police, like doing their investigations, her parents, like everything pretty much fell apart after her death. Her father, in a sense, kind of went crazy, but he didn't, because he was right, girl. And he really wanted justice for his daughter. Like, they really wanted to bring a body home. And then her mother actually went crazy, left the family, ran away, started a whole new life. And then she had a older, was her sister older? Girl, why can't I remember? Oh, her sister was older. She had an older sister and then a younger brother. And it was such a good book because it was like navigating through every single person, like what was going on and how they kind of like moved on after her death. And then it also had like kind of a thriller aspect because you knew who the killer was. Obviously it was her neighbor. That's not a spoiler, but it was obviously like it was the 60s, so the technology was not as advanced. So you're just kind of like reading through all of that. And oh, you guys, it was such a good book. Like, I don't want to say too much because like I don't want to spoil anything, but it was so good. And it was good too because I didn't really know what direction that this book was gonna go in. Like I said, I'd never seen the movies, or the movie, there's only one movie. I'd never seen the movie, so I didn't know if this was gonna be like a whodunit, like what the plot twist was gonna be. And honestly, to be honest, like there really wasn't a plot twist. There was, okay, maybe, I don't know, there kind of was with like a girl that she went to school with, but you gotta read that. Like, I'm not just gonna tell you. So it was so good. It wasn't like scary or like thriller suspense in a sense. I don't know, it just it was, what am I trying to say? For what it was truly such a beautiful book because you're like in the perspective of a little dead teenage girl. You're in the perspective of a grieving father. You're in the perspective of like a sibling who just lost a sibling and a mother who just lost, you know, a child, and, you know, a friend who had a crush and lost a crush. Like, you guys, it was so good. Honestly, I think I rated it 5 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. But it just filled you with so much emotion, and I want to see if that author wrote any more books because honestly, it was so good. But So she is an orc, and she spent her life going around doing bounties and collecting like treasures, some kind of like mythological treasures. And she's ready for a change. She's ready to leave like killing behind and just live like a purposeful life. So she ends up going to this town called Thune, and she has like all of her savings from her bounties, and she's like, I'm gonna start over, I'm gonna do everything right, and I'm just gonna like leave that old life behind. And she does. She's like, you know what, I want to open a coffee shop. Nobody's really heard of coffee before. And this story, it just takes you through the adventure that is Viv and her coffee shop that is like bursting into life. I don't want to say too much, because I'm gonna blab about this book, and I'm not gonna know when to stop, and I'm gonna freaking spoil it for you. But this one, this is like probably one of the best books I've read, because like it was so cozy and you just felt so engrossed by the story. It sucked you in, and the author did such an amazing job of just I don't know, you guys. Like I said, I don't really know how you can hate this book. It was delicious. I just ate this up and I just could not put it down, and I'm ready to read the second one. Oh my god, I loved this book. Alright, so the final book that I read this month was The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden. Frida McFadden is literally one of, if not the best, thriller, suspense authors that you can find today, in my opinion. Her writing is so amazing, and it does not matter what the hell she is writing about, because it is going to engross you. She is the author of The Housemaid, and I read this book months ago, and I told you guys I read that book in one day. That's how good it was. So I read The Surrogate Mother. This was about Abby and Sam. They are a married couple who cannot get pregnant, and they want a baby so bad. In the beginning of the story, you meet Abby, and she is about to adopt a baby with her husband, and they're so excited, and at the last minute the adoption falls through. The girl is like, no, I want to keep my baby, and they feel like they're back at square one because they have been together for like 10 years and nothing they've tried has worked, and she really wants to give her husband a baby. But all of a sudden, her assistant Monica approaches her. Monica's young, she's like 23, and she's like, listen, I know that you want to have a baby. I'm 23, I'm healthy, I'll be your surrogate if you just pay for me to go to art school. And Abby is like, fuck yeah, like, you are my assistant, I know you. She talks to her husband, and he has such a hard time with like agreeing to this situation, and he really doesn't want to do it. He doesn't have a good feeling about it, but Abby is like, please Sam, like, this is our last chance to have a baby. And he finally agrees, so they go along with it. Monica gets knocked up with technically Sam's baby because they didn't use Abby's eggs or anything, and it's just progressing. After that, you can understand where this is going. Pretty much, Monica wants to keep Sam all to herself. She wants to like have this life with him, and there's just so many coincidences and things that happen. I love this story. It was so good. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, so I'm not gonna say much more. The only thing is that herbs into the atmosphere because we need it on this planet Earth. We need some healing, some saving, some saging,